If you were born under Scorpio, you've probably heard people describe you as intense, mysterious, or emotionally powerful. But what if your greatest strength isn't your passion? What if it's the quiet battle that nobody else can see? Because while many people spend their entire lives trying to escape their inner critic, that relentless voice that says, "You're not enough, you're too late, you'll never succeed," certain Scorpio birthdates seem to develop an extraordinary ability to rise above it. Not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by becoming stronger than it. Today's video isn't about predicting the future. It's about understanding why some Scorpios naturally develop incredible emotional resilience, laser-sharp focus, and an almost supernatural ability to transform self-doubt into unstoppable determination. And if your birthday appears on today's list, you may finally understand why you've always felt different. Because your greatest power has never been controlling others. It's learning how to master yourself. Stay until the end because the final Scorpio birthdate possesses one of the rarest emotional gifts in astrology, and very few people ever recognize it until later in life. Let's begin. Why Scorpio's inner world is different. Before we dive into the specific birthdates, let's talk about something many astrologers rarely explain. Scorpio isn't simply an emotional zodiac sign. It's the sign of transformation. While some zodiac signs avoid uncomfortable emotions, Scorpio walks directly into them. That's why many Scorpios experience intense self-reflection from a young age. You don't just ask yourself what happened. You ask, why did it happen? What lesson am I supposed to learn? How do I become stronger because of it? That mindset creates remarkable personal growth, but it also creates one of Scorpio's biggest challenges. Your own mind can become your toughest opponent. Your inner critic doesn't whisper. It investigates. It analyzes. It questions every decision. It notices every mistake. Sometimes, it expects perfection. And that's exhausting. Yet here's where Scorpio becomes different from almost every other sign. Eventually, many Scorpios stop trying to silence that voice through distraction. Instead, they learn to outgrow it. That's when something extraordinary happens. The same mind that once created self-doubt begins creating confidence. The same emotional intensity that once caused overthinking becomes wisdom. And the same sensitivity that once felt like a weakness becomes one of your greatest strengths. That transformation is what makes Scorpio unforgettable. The hidden pattern behind these birthdates. Not every Scorpio experiences emotional growth in exactly the same way. Your birthdate adds subtle energy to your personality. Some Scorpios naturally become fearless leaders. Others become exceptional healers. Some become entrepreneurs. Others become artists, investigators, psychologists, or spiritual seekers. But today's birthdates all share one remarkable quality. They eventually realize that confidence isn't something you receive from other people. It's something you build by keeping promises to yourself. Once that realization happens, their entire life begins changing. Relationships improve. Careers accelerate. Finances often become more stable because they're making decisions from confidence instead of fear. And perhaps most importantly, they stop seeking permission to become the person they were always meant to be. Now let's discover the first powerful Scorpio birthdate. Scorpio birthdate number 1. October 24th. If your birthday is October 24th, you probably started questioning yourself much earlier than most people. People often mistake your quiet nature for uncertainty. But that's rarely true. You're observing everything. You notice people's tone of voice. You remember details others forget. You sense emotional shifts before they're spoken. That level of awareness is both a gift and a burden. Because highly aware people often become highly self-critical. You replay conversations. You wonder if you said too much or too little. You hold yourself to standards that most people could never imagine. But here's your hidden strength. Once you realize perfection isn't required, your confidence rises faster than almost anyone else's. Because your intelligence was never the problem. Self-trust was. When October 24th Scorpios finally trust themselves, they become remarkably calm under pressure. People begin asking for advice. Opportunities appear. Leadership comes naturally, not because you demand attention, but because your quiet confidence earns respect. Scorpio birthdate number 2, October 28th. October 28th Scorpios possess one of the strongest emotional recovery abilities in the zodiac. Life may knock you down, but it rarely keeps you there. Your inner critic often appears after disappointment. Instead of blaming others, you blame yourself. You wonder what you could have done differently. While painful, that habit eventually becomes your greatest teacher. Because every setback becomes data. Every failure becomes experience. Every challenge becomes preparation. One day you wake up and suddenly realize the voice that once criticized you has become the voice that coaches you. That's emotional maturity, and very few people ever achieve it. This is why October 28th Scorpios often become successful later than expected. But their success lasts much longer, because it's built on wisdom instead of ego. Scorpio birthdate number 3, November 3rd. November 3rd Scorpios possess extraordinary emotional endurance. Most people don't realize how much you've survived, because you rarely advertise your struggles. You simply keep moving. That's your superpower. Your inner critic often tells you to quit, to settle, to play small, but something inside you refuses. Even when confidence disappears, hope somehow remains. That's what separates you from the crowd. You don't always believe in yourself, but you never completely give up on yourself. And over time, that persistence becomes unstoppable. People often assume success belongs to the smartest person. In reality, it usually belongs to the person who refuses to stop growing. November 3rd Scorpios understand that better than almost anyone. We've only covered the beginning, and the next Scorpio birthdates become even more fascinating. One of them has an incredible ability to turn emotional pain into personal power, while another develops a level of self-confidence that seems almost impossible after years of self-doubt. If you're still watching, there's a good chance this message is resonating with you in a very personal way. Maybe you've spent years wondering why your own thoughts can sometimes feel like your biggest obstacle. Or maybe you've already noticed something changing inside you. The voice that once filled you with doubt is becoming quieter. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you've become stronger. That's the hidden journey of many Scorpios. The transformation isn't always visible on the outside. It happens internally, decision by decision, challenge by challenge, and lesson by lesson. Now let's continue with the next Scorpio birthdates. Scorpio birthdate number 4, November 7th. If you were born on November 7th, you're naturally driven by purpose. You don't simply want success. You want success that actually means something. That desire can create enormous pressure because your inner critic constantly asks, "Is this really my path?" Am I wasting my potential? Could I be doing more? Those questions can keep you awake at night. But here's the gift hidden inside them. They push you toward continuous growth. You're rarely satisfied with mediocrity. You study, you improve, you adapt. And while others may stop after reaching one goal, you're already preparing for the next chapter. As the years pass, your confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from competence. You trust yourself because you've repeatedly proven that you can overcome difficult situations. That quiet confidence becomes impossible to fake, and impossible for others to ignore. Scorpio birthdate number 5, November 11th. November 11th carries incredibly intuitive energy. If this is your birthday, you've probably experienced moments where you simply knew something before there was any logical explanation. Your intuition is one of your greatest gifts. Ironically, your inner critic often tries to convince you not to trust it. It tells you you're imagining things, that you're overthinking, that you're reading too much into situations. But time after time, life proves your instincts were right. Eventually you stop apologizing for your intuition. You begin trusting it, and once that happens, your decision-making improves dramatically. You avoid unnecessary drama. You recognize unhealthy relationships faster. You identify genuine opportunities before other people do. That's why many November 11th Scorpios seem incredibly wise beyond their years. Their greatest teacher isn't the outside world. It's the lessons they've learned by finally trusting themselves. Scorpio birthdate number 6, November 15th. People often underestimate November 15th Scorpios. At first glance, you may appear calm, reserved, or even quiet. But beneath that calm exterior is extraordinary determination. You don't give up easily. In fact, the more difficult something becomes, the more determined you become to master it. Your inner critic often tells you, you're behind everyone else. You started too late. Someone else is already better. But here's what makes you different. Instead of allowing those thoughts to stop you, you quietly keep working. Day after day, month after month, year after year. Eventually something remarkable happens. The people who once overlooked you suddenly wonder how you became so successful. They don't see the countless hours you spent improving when nobody was watching. That's the Scorpio way. Real growth often happens in silence. Why Scorpio eventually outgrows self-doubt. Psychologists often talk about resilience. Astrologers often talk about transformation. Scorpio naturally combines both. Many people spend years trying to eliminate negative thoughts. Scorpios eventually discover something even more powerful. You don't have to eliminate every negative thought. You simply stop believing every negative thought. That's a life-changing difference. Your mind may still produce fear. It may still produce uncertainty. It may still produce moments of self-doubt. But now you recognize those thoughts for what they are. Thoughts, not facts. That realization changes everything. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond intentionally. Instead of assuming failure, you prepare for success. Instead of seeking validation, you create your own confidence through action. That emotional maturity often becomes one of Scorpio's greatest hidden strengths. The silent strength most people never notice. Here's something fascinating. Many people assume confidence is loud. Scorpio proves otherwise. Real confidence is often incredibly quiet. It's choosing peace over proving yourself. It's walking away from unnecessary conflict. It's setting healthy boundaries without guilt. It's admitting mistakes without losing self-respect. It's celebrating other people's success without feeling threatened. When Scorpios reach this stage of emotional growth, their inner critic begins losing its power. Not because it disappears forever, but because it no longer controls the story. We've covered 6 remarkable Scorpio birthdates so far. But the next group includes some of the most emotionally resilient personalities in the entire zodiac. One of these birthdates has an extraordinary ability to rebuild after major setbacks. Another naturally develops the calm confidence that inspires everyone around them. And the final birthdate may explain why some Scorpios seem almost impossible to break, no matter what life throws at them. Every Scorpio reaches a turning point. At some point in life, every Scorpio faces a choice. You can continue believing the voice that tells you you're not enough. Or you can start believing the evidence your own life has been giving you all along. Think about it. How many difficult moments have you already survived? How many times did you think you wouldn't recover, only to come back stronger? That's not luck. That's your Scorpio nature. Transformation isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you become. The people who know you best may not even realize how much you've changed over the years. They only see the version of you standing today. They don't see every setback that quietly built your resilience. Now let's continue. Scorpio birthdate number 7, November 18th. If you were born on November 18th, your greatest strength is emotional courage. You feel things deeply, but you don't let emotions define your future. That's an important difference. Your inner critic often appears after disappointment. It tells you that one mistake means you'll fail again. But experience has taught you something powerful. Failure is temporary. Growth is permanent. Every lesson you learn becomes another layer of wisdom. That's why November 18th Scorpios often become excellent mentors, leaders, coaches, or trusted advisors. People listen because you've lived through what you're talking about. Your confidence comes from experience, not ego. Scorpio birthdate number 8, November 20th. November 20th Scorpios possess remarkable emotional intelligence. You notice patterns that other people completely miss. You understand motivation. You sense dishonesty. You recognize genuine kindness. That awareness can sometimes make your inner critic even louder. Because you don't only analyze other people, you analyze yourself constantly. But here's the breakthrough. Eventually you realize that growth doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. That mindset changes everything. Instead of trying to be perfect, you simply become better than yesterday. Month after month, year after year, those small improvements create extraordinary results. People may call it talent. You know it's discipline. Scorpio birthdate number 9, November 22nd. If your birthday falls on November 22nd, you carry one of Scorpio's rarest qualities. Quiet certainty. You're not interested in proving yourself to everyone. You simply want to become the best version of yourself. That difference protects your energy. Your inner critic still speaks from time to time. But instead of arguing with it, you let your actions answer the question. Every completed goal, every healthy habit, every promise you keep to yourself weakens that critical voice. Eventually confidence becomes your default setting. Not arrogance, not pride, just peaceful certainty. And that's incredibly rare. The science behind self-confidence. Interestingly, modern psychology suggests that confidence isn't something we're born with. It's built through repeated action. Every time you face a challenge instead of avoiding it, your brain collects evidence that you're capable. Scorpios naturally repeat this process throughout life. They don't avoid transformation. They become transformation. That's why many Scorpios appear dramatically different in their 30s, 40s, and 50s than they did in their 20s. They've learned something priceless. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite fear. Why successful Scorpios think differently. The most successful Scorpios eventually stop asking, "What if I fail?" Instead they ask, "What will I learn?" That single mental shift changes careers. It changes relationships. It changes financial decisions. It changes health. It changes leadership. It changes everything. Because your inner critic survives on fear. It weakens when curiosity takes over. Every time you become curious instead of fearful, you reclaim a little more of your personal power. Your greatest competition was never other people. Many people spend years comparing themselves to everyone around them. Scorpios eventually realize something profound. Your greatest competition has always been the person you were yesterday. Once you understand that, social comparison begins disappearing. Jealousy fades. Imposter syndrome loses its grip. You stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. That's when your life begins moving in an entirely different direction. We've reached the final stage of this journey. In the last, we'll reveal the remaining Scorpio birth dates, including the one many astrologers believe possesses the strongest ability to transform self-doubt into lasting inner confidence. We'll also uncover the daily habits that help these Scorpios keep their inner critic quiet, no matter what challenges life brings. And if your birthday is among the final group, you may discover why people often describe you as one of the strongest personalities they've ever met. The final stage of the Scorpio journey. If you've stayed with me until this point, you've probably realized something important. This video isn't about being a perfect Scorpio. It's about recognizing the incredible emotional strength that often develops after years of overcoming self-doubt. The truth is, every Scorpio hears that inner critic from time to time. The difference is what happens next. Some people let that voice make every decision. But these Scorpio birthdates learn to use it as fuel instead of allowing it to become a prison. That's where real transformation begins. Let's reveal the final birthdates. Scorpio birthdate number 10, November 5th. If you were born on November 5th, your greatest gift is resilience. Life has probably tested you more than most people realize. You've faced moments where giving up would have been the easiest choice. Yet somehow, you kept going. Not because you always felt confident, but because something inside you refused to quit. That determination becomes your greatest advantage later in life. People may see your success and assume it happened overnight. What they don't see are the countless quiet moments when you chose growth over comfort. Every challenge made you stronger. Every setback sharpened your instincts. And every difficult season taught you that your greatest breakthroughs often arrive right after your biggest obstacles. Scorpio birthdate number 11, November 9th. November 9th Scorpios have an incredible ability to reinvent themselves. You're not afraid to let go of old habits, outdated beliefs, or situations that no longer serve your future. That's rare. Many people stay stuck because change feels uncomfortable. You understand something different. Growth always requires change. Your inner critic may tell you that you're starting over. But your wiser self knows you're actually starting from experience. That mindset allows you to recover faster than most people. It's one of the reasons others often describe you as emotionally powerful, even if you don't always see it yourself. Scorpio birthdate number 12, November 16th. If your birthday is November 16th, your strength lies in emotional discipline. You don't need constant attention or validation to know your worth. You prefer meaningful progress over quick recognition. That quiet determination becomes incredibly valuable in every area of life. Whether it's building a career, strengthening relationships, improving your finances, or becoming healthier, you understand that lasting success comes from consistent effort. Your inner critic slowly loses its influence because your daily actions become louder than your doubts. That's a lesson many people spend a lifetime trying to learn. The rare Scorpio secret. Here's something that isn't talked about enough. The strongest Scorpios don't silence their inner critic by fighting it every day. They silence it by building a life that no longer gives it control. They develop healthy routines. They protect their peace. They stop explaining themselves to people who misunderstand them. They surround themselves with people who inspire growth instead of drama. Most importantly, they begin trusting their own judgment. That trust becomes the foundation for everything else. 3 habits that quiet the inner critic. If you're one of these Scorpio birthdates, or even if you're not, these 3 habits can make an incredible difference. First, keep promises to yourself. Every small promise you keep builds self-trust. Confidence isn't created by motivational speeches. It's created by consistency. Second, stop comparing your journey to someone else's. The only person you need to become better than is the version of yourself from yesterday. Comparison feeds insecurity. Progress feeds confidence. Third, celebrate small wins. Your inner critic notices every mistake. Train your mind to notice your victories too. Every step forward matters. Over time, those small victories become an unshakable sense of self-belief. Final message. If your birth date appeared in today's video, remember this. Your greatest strength isn't that you never doubt yourself. It's that you continue moving forward even when doubt is present. That's real courage. That's real resilience. And that's one of the qualities that makes Scorpio one of the most transformative signs in the Zodiac. Life will continue testing you. People will continue underestimating you. Challenges will continue appearing. But so will your ability to rise. Again, and again, and again. Because that's what Scorpios do. They transform. Not once, but throughout their entire lives. Call to action. If this video resonated with you, let me know your Scorpio birth date in the comments below. I'd love to see which dates are represented in our community. And if you know another Scorpio who needs this reminder today, share this video with them. They may need to hear it more than they realize. Finally, if you're still watching, you're not here by accident. Subscribe to Cosmic Insight Daily for more thoughtful astrology insights, zodiac psychology, and empowering content created for people who want to understand themselves on a deeper level. Until next time, take care of yourself, trust your intuition, and remember, your greatest power has never been silencing the world. It's learning to believe in yourself, even when your inner critic tries to convince you otherwise.